In this lesson, we're going to look at creating a method that has one parameter. And a parameter is a formal name for the data that's passed into a method, and we really refer to the parameter on the method definition side. And then that data, when it's passed into the method in the calling program, is known as the argument. But I'll make all that clear in just a minute. So the first thing we're going to do is define our method. And what we're going to do is create a very simple method that returns the square of a number. And so to do that, we start off with our method heading, if you want to call it that, also sometimes known as the method signature. So our method is square, and it's an integer or an int method, which means that it's going to return an integer value. In the last lesson, we worked with a void method, and this time we're working with a value returning method, square, that's going to return an int. Its single parameter is the number that we want to compute the square of, so we're calling that parameter number, and notice we also have to provide the data type. In the body of the method, in the body of the method, having problems tonight. Our definition of how to square a number is, of course, very simple. That's just the number times the number. And the return keyword indicates that we're going to take this value, and when we compute it, we're going to return that to the calling program. So let's demonstrate how that works. So we can create a variable num, assign it the value 2. Then we can say, let's do num squared. Now before we run the program, let's take a look at what we've done. So we define a variable num and give it the value 2. Then we create another variable num squared, and its value, its initialization value, is going to be the result of calling the square method with the argument num. Now, what happens is that the compiler, when we compile our program, it checks to see that this argument matches the parameter in both data type and number, so that if your method definition has one parameter, then your method call can only have one parameter, and that parameter in the call has to match the data type of the parameter in the in the method definition. So now let's write out the result. So we're just going to display the result. So let's compile. No errors, so we'll close. And we'll run the program. And 2 squared is 4. So let's review how we came to this result. Again, to create a method with one parameter, we provide the method name along with the return data type, and then a single parameter which has to have a leading data type and a name. Then, of course, somehow we're going to compute using that parameter. And so in this case, for the square method, we just simply multiply number times itself and return that result. And then in the program where we use the method, we have to make sure that the argument matches the parameter in both type and number, so that if you have a single int parameter, you must have a single int argument. And as long as you match those up correctly, then everything will go fine. If you have a problem with that, then the compiler will complain in one way or the other. But that wraps up this lesson on writing methods that have one parameter.